Yes, blessed love to each and every one. We definitely give thanks for your presence with us. Glorify the life giver and the keeper of life, Emperor Haile Selassie the First. Heart of celebration going out to the earth universally, I should say. 129th anniversary of the Earth Day of Negusa Nagas. I speak again of Emperor Haile Selassie the First. So it is a celebration moment going into the Sabbath moment and the full moon moment. Of course, you know, the full moon itself coming out of Sagittarius. So we give thanks for the energy at this moment. Give thanks to Honorable Priest Isaac here with you. This is a special edition of Chalice Talk. You know, we're usually clad in the whites for Chalice Talk going into the Sabbath day. We recorded this one a bit earlier, going into the Emperor's Earth Day. So, you know, even in the golden fashion, the golden jubilee, as we give thanks for Negus and Agas, and still looking forward to a marvelous Sabbath as we give praises unto the King of Kings, Emperor Haile Selassie I. We will be having 3 special visitors with us for this Chalice Talk. We have Brother Rastafari will be with us, and Comer Dread will be with us, and of course Prophet Sheldon also will be with us in a few moments, and we will be talking about Rastafari and the future. So just like the previous program, we were talking about Bobo Shanti and the future. So we're kind of broadening the scope now in a sense as it relates to all within the movement known as Rastafari. So this is Chalice Talk, you know, and for sure the host has already set. If there's only one chalice in the house, you better know I'm the one that will have it for sure. But of course, we're highlighting your chalwa. You should have your chalice for the Chalice Talk too. You should have your chalice for every time we come and we sit down, you know. One virgin was telling me when he look and see me upload a video and it's 5 minutes and it's 8 minutes and it's 10 minutes, he said them ain't chalice videos, and he's looking for 2 hours and 3 hours and such as that. So we're very thankful again for your presence with us, and we are encouraging you again to make sure you get your chalice, make sure you get your chalwa. All you got to do is contact us. Email priestisaac27@gmail.com. And of course, you could get your chalice shipped to you. We give you more information, obviously, as it relates to price and the different types. Remember, you could also get your steamer, your steam chalice as well. And of course, different variety thereof. And I'm inviting you again to join us. Now, this is Saturday, the 24th day of July. And this is a day after the official Earth Day of the Emperor. So whenever you're seeing this video, whether it be on the 23rd or even the 24th, 7 p.m. sharp, Eastern Standard Time, which is similar to Eastern Caribbean Time, we are presenting, I should say, the Living Gods of Kemet Part 1. This is a 3-part series. Now, I want you to listen to me, good family. We will be definitely going into depth. You see, when we speak about online international lecture, as you know, when we do our online lectures, we usually do it as a webinar. And of course, you would purchase your ticket and you come and we give you a 2-hour lecture. And I mean, we make sure that it's set in a way that we break down all the science for you and take it to another level. So this is what you're getting, you know. It's not like even these programs where we're sitting and we're gaffing, as they say in Guyana, and we're reasoning and just no, but it's a scholarly professor-like university lecture presentation that we will be giving. And you know, we're not ashamed to say it how it is, because that's exactly what is coming to you. So prepare yourself for Saturday evening, the 24th day of July, the Living Gods of Kemet Part 1, Tutankhamun and Akhenaten. Is going to be wonderful, trust me. And that is going to lead us into Part 2. And that is going to lead us into Part 3. It is 3 specific online lectures that we're doing each Saturday. So next Saturday is another one. And the 3rd Saturday, we will be sealing up. But I want you to understand this good. The 2nd one will be entitled the Simenkari. Oh, trust me, you don't want to miss that. Every time I say it, I always add that. You don't want to miss Semenkari. And of course, it will be actually dovetailing off of this one. I'm talking about Saturday, the 24th of July, 2021. Now, I want you to hear this, good, my family. Originally, our intention was to make the first and the second lecture free. That was the original intention. And we would have had an admission of $20 as we always do for our lectures, only an admission of $20 for the third lecture. But that was the original plan. But we decided to scrap that plan, and all 3 lectures will be free. So in other words, you can come right here on the YouTube channel. That will be 7 p.m. It will be premiering. So what you need to do, if you're not a subscriber, first of all, you need to subscribe. And then you're gonna need to put on the notification button. All right, now listen to this. I know many of the faithful ones are definitely ready to purchase that third part online lecture that we were going to do. But as I said, this is for free, so those who weren't gonna purchase it can also see it as well. But this is the time for us to harmonize. This is the time for us to work as a team. And to be honest, we're going to see who are the true revolutionaries right now. I'm being very straight. So what we're going to do for the third lecture, this is going to be a contribution lecture. The third lecture is a contribution lecture, meaning that we are asking you to make your contribution for the lecture. So in other words, you don't have to give a specific amount. It's not an admission, you know, you just make a contribution and you come. But I thought you said it was free. Even if you don't make a contribution, it is still going to be there for you to see. But that doesn't mean you don't make a contribution. That means then you don't value what we're doing. That means you don't have a strong appreciation for what we're doing. That means we have to ransom you and say, well, if you don't pay, you can't see it. That's not good. Not as a family of righteous ones and Rastafari and all of that. That's not good. I'm supposed to be able to say, hey, everybody can see that. No special, no one. You don't have to bring no $5, $10, no $20 to see it. Everything I do, I should be able to put it on the front line for the whole world to see. And those of you who know that this is a good work and a valuable work, don't mind who not contributed. You're supposed to say, yeah, give us the CashApp, and then put your contribution in the CashApp. So that is what we are doing. This is a teaching moment. That is what we are doing for the third lecture, which will be entitled Ramesu. Ramesu the second. Oh, you don't want to miss that one neither. So it's 3 dynamic lectures, my brothers and sisters. The Living Gods of Kemet part 1, 2, and 3. As I said, originally the plan was 1, 2, free, and the third one, we will definitely have it as a webinar. We have since scrapped that plan, and we're going to make all 3 of the lectures free. And we are leaving it up to you now with a sincere, genuine understanding of what's going on here to make a contribution as far as you see the value of what is being received here. So those of you who can utilize the CashApp, we have a new CashApp that you can use, which is more simple for you. It is actually like the email, it's Priest Isaac 27. So now you can Cash App us at Priest Isaac 27. And the link for the Cash App, as always, is in the description below. So you don't have to try to figure it out. Just go below the video and press the description or press the link in the description. The previous Cash App can still be used, so you don't have to worry if maybe you did something or you sent something there. It's still going to the same place. But for your convenience, we are using the Cash App Priest Isaac 27. And as I said, that third lecture, Ramesu, the second, that will be a contribution lecture. So if you don't contribute, you can still come and see it. If you don't pay the admission, which it doesn't have, you could still come and see it. And if you do not have the Cash App, you could still contact us via the email, which is priestisaac27@gmail.com. And we will give you alternative ways for you to send your contribution. In fact, we will be setting up a PayPal, which should be ready even before that third lecture. So there are different avenues for you to do that. All right, so give thanks for the life giver and the keeper of life. As I said, we are celebrating the 129th anniversary of the Earth Day of the King. And as I said, in a moment, we will be joined by the esteemed brethren as we go into the reasoning this evening as it relates to Rastafari and the future. We're going to be talking of theology. I think I want to start it on theology. This is not going to be the only reasoning and discussion on it. We're going to do more in the future. But tonight, I want to start off with theology in the sense of how we acknowledge the Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie I, and how Rastafari sees the Emperor going into the future theology. So just give us a few moments as we just detect the brethren coming in and make sure that we are ready for this. Holy Manuel I, Selassie I, Jah, Rastafari. All right. It's a heart of celebration, you know. All right, family, blessed love once again, as I said. Officially, we are here celebrating at the same time the 129th anniversary of the Earth Day of our King, Haile Selassie I, Negus and Agas. At the moment, I do have the brethren and Coma Dread with us. We have Honorable Ras Aishern with us. As I said, Prophet Sheldon should be joining us. I expect him to jump in. Previous time, he kind of jumped in after we started, so I wouldn't be surprised that he comes in the same way. But as I said, we're going to be reasoning in this chalice talk session. I do have my chal already. We're talking about the Emperor, Rastafari, and the future. And the brethren that are here definitely no stranger to the, somebody give me a little background sound there. I don't know who it is. A kind of reverb. But anyway, okay, sounds good there.
Humming sound?
Yeah. But if you start again, maybe we could just mute until you're ready to speak. If you start again. So where I wanted to begin this night, you know, and even when it comes to the item there, I do give yeah, it humming again. It humming again. Just put it on a little pause for me until I come.
That would I.
Right. Let me see how we go now. Yeah. What it is, as I said to the family there, of course, you know, the two brethren there thus far, no strangers to the tiger's nest. And I know when the mic passed to them, they will just bless you up again and go through. But we're just going straight into the reason, man, because it's the Earth Day of the Emperor. And, you know, as Rastafari, where I wanted to begin, you know, I wanted to begin on a leg that some people may consider that that's not the most important issue at the moment. But I think the theology of this thing is very, very important. As you could see, man does deal a lot with the theology. And what I wanted to reason about, at least in the beginning aspect of it, is the outlook that Rastafari have as it relates to the emperor. You know, is it something that we need to revisit? And why I'm saying that, you know, when we come into this thing, you know, when I came into this thing, Haile Selassie, when you say Haile Selassie now, you know, is the Almighty God man does be talking about, you know, Haile Selassie being the Almighty God. And certain ones would say, well, they're born Jesus, but they're not born in God, you know. But they say, well, they're born in Jesus, but they're not born in God. Now, to me, it's levels. Because in all reality, for conversation's sake, of course, I mean, I don't have a problem talking about God. You know, but in reality, God is not just a term. Yes, God is a German term, and it actually has a German identity. But you see, a lot of these terms, again, come with their identity. So sometimes the warped idea that we have of God, in reality, that is what God, good, God, that is what it really is, what we consider the warped idea. If you go and study the origin of God and the character that has the name God, you see, we see God as a white man in the cloud sitting on a throne, but the real God, Odin, is a white man in the cloud sitting on a throne for you. You understand it? So when it comes to this conception now, and we now apply Haile Selassie is God, because the word is, you know, the word is almost like an equal sign. Haile Selassie is God. So Haile Selassie on one side, equal, and God. Now, I'm just trying to say, how constructive is that? Because in my book, again, I know for sure when we say God, not to make it complicated, I know when we say God, most people are referring to the divine nucleus of creation, the sustainer of all things, whether you could see it, touch it, or identify it, and more than likely, most people would understand that this life force dwells in all things. You know, we just capsulate it down to this word, God, as such. So now, when we apply Haile Selassie to quote unquote God, you know, because for me alone, in my book, is proxy giving God when you compare God to Haile Selassie. That is not Haile Selassie benefiting from that, you know. In my book, is God is marks giving God, stripes God getting to be compared to Haile Selassie. I don't feel no way to say that, you know. I don't care who are run under the bed. I don't put no God over Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie is Haile Selassie. And when you say Haile Selassie is God is the one that is being the beneficiary there. You check it, you ain't taking nothing away from Emperor Haile Selassie if you don't want to compare him to no God. And that's just my opinion. So when we say Haile Selassie is God and the Almighty God, and is it something we need to revisit, or we need to re-identify it? Do we have to change the tone of talk, or we need to, you know, look at it again and maybe re-edify ourselves in the concept of it? Because it's a deep thing, you know. And as I said, some people may feel that discussion is a bit off. Let us talk about repatriation. Let us talk about industry. But when you want to talk about them things, then I show up. You know, so I want to talk about this. You know what I mean? Once the brethren them hip for that. And I think I would begin with the man Ras Isern, blessed love my Lord. Give thanks again for coming in. And you know, you could just put your little fire to that. Me and the Jed will light up our chalice, I'm sure. And then when you're done your reasoning,
yes,
Rastafari.
Yes, I will. You know, give thanks again for the invitation, you know, to come and reason this topic today. First out, I might like to give salutation to His benevolent majesty, good nature and character, Patan Neta Anra Haile Selassie still.
Rastafari.
And just greetings to all the listeners and viewers, for that matter. Well, in dealing with that, you know, there's a couple of levels that I can speak to this whole notion of His Majesty being God. More and more, generally speaking, let me start from this point. Generally speaking, when we use term as God in this Western context, we really are referring to the prime mover, the creator of all things, the all, as it will be, as it is phrased when you look into like Hermetic principles and so on. Whenever the term God is used, this is the entity we're referring to. However, the term God also is a title, is the highest title that you can give to a human person as well. So that's another interpretation we have here. So the question would be now, which one of these His Majesty will fit into?
I hear that.
Personally, I start my journey viewing His Majesty literally as the prime mover.
The Almighty in flesh.
The Almighty in flesh. And that's we are guided in terms of that interpretation of things. We are guided by the scriptures, the Christian scripture that say that this prime mover come and manifest in flesh and dwell amongst men. You understand? So we apply it in that literal sense because of the fact that we are influenced by the Christian interpretation of things. However, when one dig deeper into the whole idea and notion of quote unquote God, you understand? you will find yourself now a little bit hard pressed, at least if one is very open and not dogmatic. You'd find yourself hard pressed to assert this literal thing, to be honest. One of the reasons is, have you ever heard it said, for example, that God cannot be proven or disproved? Like particularly if you listen conversation between those who believe that there is a God and atheists, for example. Because when you have these type of discussion, it gets straight down to raw theology, not religion. Religion is the one that came up with personage for God and all these kind of things. When you reason theology, theology is speaking about this entity that created all things, an entity that even scripture tell you it is beyond man's comprehension, man's ability to even comprehend. You understand? So when you look at that and you look at certain description, even in scripture, for example, you hear about omnipresent, you hear about omnipotent, and you hear about omniscient. Omniscient means all-knowing. Omnipotent is all-powerful. And omnipresent means he's everywhere at the same time, meaning he fills every space within time and space, one time, across the board. And when you look at these qualities of the prime mover, honestly, you cannot apply that to no given human being.
Or anything at all, or any tangible,
no,
anything?
You really can't. His Majesty have to flew from place to place. He flew on an aircraft from Ethiopia to Brazil, to America, to Europe, to various places in the world that he visited, to Jamaica and such. Meaning he's not everywhere at the same time, literally like that.
Like that, right.
Okay? Not to be controversial here, because I'm just a reason, very direct, very open, very straight. Because these times here are the times for the unveiling of the hidden things. And so we have to speak in very plain language these days. This time and a time for parable and mysticism. It's time to speak directly, because this is the time of man's empowerment, a time for man rise up to his Godhead status. You understand? When you apply another quality of these three, omnipotent, all-powerful, you will have to question how His Majesty lose the Ethiopia-Italian war if God is all-powerful.
When you say lose, you mean, you're talking of the first instance, the battle.
I'm talking about the war between Italy, 1935, between Italy and Ethiopia. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
When you think about events like that, this little bigot out in Italy, this braggadocio, and he can come up in a war, and the God, if we are applying this literally, he wipe out thousands, if not in the millions, of this God's people. Poison pans, animals, all kind of terrible things that he did. You will have to question all powerful in that literal sense as he applied to the person of His Majesty. You would really have to, because one would, it stands to reason that, okay, if he's literally God, he could have just called on lightning and thunder, for example, to knock the aircraft out the sky. With a thought or a snap of a finger, he could have caused the engine to stop. He could have caused the heart of all the Italian soldiers, included Mussolini, to stop with the snap of a finger. You'll have to say this if you're reasoning the matter very honestly. You see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
So all powerful in that sense would not apply literally. You move on to omniscient. which means he knoweth all things, hold all knowledge. Well, if he had all knowledge, before he was even king, he would know that this Italian war is going to come down, and most naturally would be able to make contingent in preparation for such a thing and position himself to defeat the enemy. You understand?
Definitely.
So when you apply these three qualities, which are three qualities in the script.
We cover three already, huh? Two. We done cover three or two.
That's three. The first one I covered was omnipresent, and I say that His Majesty have to move from place to place.
Right. Yeah,
then we go all powerful.
Yes. And then
I'm referring to the war planes and so on, and then we go to the knowledge part, omniscience.
Yes, it's true.
All right. So yes. So when you apply these qualities and you really break them down and try to apply them, it could be Jesus. Any human flesh that you seek to compare with these qualities will not meet the grade. Frankly, not even the Christian grade, Jesus that walk on water, as they claim. You understand? So then, as Martin O'Plano said, we now will have to consider a new faculty of interpretation. And I went back actually and listened to that interview between Martin O'Plano and Mutabaruka just prior to this interview starting, because I'm seeing some advertisement. There's a flyer that came to me talking about the new faculty of overstanding. You understand? There is going to be a Zoom meeting. I think it's going to be on the 23rd with some esteemed individual like Raseku and so forth, that I think it was Bongo wisely post in the Wadadley gathering group. And I'm reading that this talk about a new faculty came up, but that was a new faculty of overstanding. I don't know if that was taken from the cry, the clarion that Martin O'Plano put out in said interview, that they took that particular phrasing from, but they say overstanding rather than interpretation, which is what Martin O'Plano actually said. And he said that in relation to talking about the Bible and His Majesty. Okay? So we now have to employ this new faculty of interpretation when we look at these things, and rightfully apply the title to His Majesty as it's supposed to be. His Majesty really, if you look very closely at thing, really is icon figure representing the divine. Is the divine objective an example? Why is he the divine objective and example? Because His Majesty live according to the order of the divine. He is ordered spiritually in his doings and saying by this divine spirit, which we refer to as the Almighty, the Creator, the prime mover, because the prime mover is effectively a principle.
Okay, I can come in there.
This is why we come again.
Yeah, I can come in there. Let me just come in there. I want very good. No, trust me, give time. You don't know how you go.
Yes,
height of reasoning, enough respect, and I'm definitely in agreement with that new faculty of overstanding. But before I bring in Anko Madrid, and even as you mentioned, the new faculty of understanding too. Well, I don't know how much you've been
interpretation. Interpretation.
No, I'm talking about the group now in relation to the balance that you gave. Right. I don't know how much you've been following up still, but they've already done 6 seminars. This is actually the 7th now. This would be almost like a climax they're doing. This was originally supposed to be in Ethiopia for the 25th of May. I just kind of run you through it quickly just for an understanding. So they've been doing a lot of good works, actually dealing with all the aspects of the futuristic look for Rastafari, theology, ideology. I think the first one was entitled Ideology, Business, Rastafari and the Woman, and these different things. And you could find all of the webinars on the African Liberation Network YouTube. Yeah, you should check it out. That's something, that's a
African
nice
Liberation Network.
African Liberation Network, you know. That is something you should take in, even going into that next. Yeah, trust me, man, you would really, they have hours to watch, you know, at least 9 hours worth of information there.
Yeah, no worries. I man have to listen.
I know it is with the
African Liberation Network.
Yeah, that's Honorable Prophet Daniel Daniel Chalice
Yes,
Master. Right, that is his station. Okay, to the conversation now. Let me just put in my little piece here, because you know it's reasoning, and I know of course, just you know, with all due respect to even the listeners, I know there are many that will take the conversation personal and you know, and try to make it a tug of war. It's reasoning, eh? And because we don't reason, sometimes we miss the jewels within the conversation. Now, let me just put this out to the brethren then before I come to you, Dread. When I look at the way that the guy is describing it now, so we're dealing with the all-seeing, the all-knowing, and in every place at any and every time. All right.
Sure.
That whole science of the Almighty being every specific place at every time. When I say place now, not on earth now, you know, you look outside into the heavens, you see stars, some of those stars are looking at galaxies. Some of them is a whole galaxy that just look like a dot, and it's so far away, you don't even know what's behind a dot, and scientists telling you the universe expanded and all kind of things. Now, if you are the Almighty, obviously your wings must spread all where man can't even see. If they have 11 dimensions, if something really goes up, that means you must not just exist in all of these dimensions, because we exist in them planes too, but we are very unconscious of it. But you must be well conscious, well aware, and well understanding where you fit. Now, to be in every place at every moment, at all times, and all of that, I can't see that applying to no tangible thing, whatever it is, being, thing, anything can be anywhere at all times, all places at all times. So obviously, this is a different reasonment altogether. Okay, for example, as far as the all-powerful then, let us look at the theology of it, since we're talking of theology. And you mentioned Jesus Christ walking on water. Now, the theology of it is that this figure here had the power. He even said so. This is the theology of it, that he have the power to even call for legions of angels to come and do away. Just like you say, if he's this, he's supposed to can do that. If he's this, he's just like they say when he was on the cross. Man, if this man is really who you are talking about, he's supposed to come down. But according to the theology now, the pattern of the story, which may be very esoteric, is that he had the ability to do that. But to make sure if you want to say the prophecy becomes history, or the pattern, whatever the script says, just to make sure that play out, it just have to go in that form or that fashion. So this concept of the divine being, you know, is a very deep, deep thing, because even some of the things that we attribute to the Almighty, we can attribute them to even ourselves, you know, me and you, you know, we are not just here alone, you know, me and you, we are not just right here. Trust me, we are other places on different planes, and that's me and you. I'm not talking of Haile Selassie, I ain't talking about Jesus. I say me and you, Isa and Priest Isaac, me and you, that just here, right here. We in different parallel worlds, and so whether we can connect with it or not, or we have learned to connect with it. So we ourselves are some beings that are on much higher levels than we even know. But I'm saying the Almighty thing now, the thing about the Almighty, I see it, I know you want to come in, but I want to pass it to the jet before you come back around. But the way I see it with the Almighty is that the Almighty represents life, you know. It is in all things. it is in all things. But you see, religion now bring it down to a kind of way. That is what distorts our thinking. But anyway, Anko Madrid, come in. Drop your information on it. Let me not take over the mic here. I can do that in the tiger's nest. Yeah. You're on mute. Oh, you're more than unmute. You're gone.
Brother.
All right, something hitting there. Okay, you go ahead, say what you're saying now. And when he come in, we can just pass.
Okay, yeah. Well,
but you get my point.
Well, no. Yes, to follow up on the point you're making, quite frankly, I would call that religious semantics to say that he allowed this to happen for that happen. You understand? I think the fundamental thing we're dealing with is whether when you say a person is God, whether that literally applies or it is symbolically applied. Because really, given the flesh have a beginning and an end in time, and that the Creator is ever living, you can see a clear conflict there. It just doesn't fit into that.
Ever living.
Yeah, ever living, immortal, never die. We know that anything that has a beginning in time, by the natural laws, will have an end in time.
But this is what I'm saying now. You see, this is what I'm saying now. Interpretation of, because the spirit of life itself, okay, in other words, it's not my life and your life, like I have a life. It's life is one thing, We all exist on the plane of life. That's why life and love, I know you hear Van talk about them words, life and love and evolve and all of that. That's why there's a oneness even with the term. And from my perspective, this thing that we are calling God, that's why I know we need a new faculty of understanding, we call it interpretation too. Because what we calling God, you see, the corruption comes from even the word. We have to that's why I started by saying there is an equal sign. And Haile Selassie is, and then God on the other side. Remember, we know God before we know Haile Selassie. This is what the point I'm getting. We had a relationship with God. Whoever this God thing, we had a relationship with God. That's why when we met Haile Selassie, we tried to, God became the measuring stick, man. So we bring everybody to God and see who can match up to God. And Haile Selassie fit the picture. And we still think like that. Like if, okay, well, Haile Selassie is the man because he fit the criteria of God. It's the thing, Dre, that is why I'm saying now, God is the one that get all the stripe. Is God getting enough praise now, since we associate him with Haile Selassie. You don't have to associate Haile Selassie with God. Haile Selassie is Haile Selassie. And us in our divine understanding, when you really interpret it, because God itself, that's what I'm saying, what we're calling God, still going back to the word, represents a oneness of life. That's why it's in all place at all time. It's that divine nucleus that really sustains all things, and it's life. It's that real energy of love.
Stick a pin right there.
Yeah, make it short and make the king go.
Yes, as soon as I'm not going very far.
Yes,
but the point that I'll make at this point, the God that you would be referring to there, then it will be fair to say not only is Haile Selassie God, but every one of us is God.
Well,
because the true self of every man then become this entity. That's the true self of every man. When they go to a funeral, for example, just to show you what the real identity of us is. When you go to a funeral and they're reading the rites at the graveside, most time you hear them say, here lies the remain, or the body of. And then they refer to the name.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a distinction drawn right there between the body and the entity itself.
Yes.
So who is the entity separate from the body?
Exactly.
That entity is really who we are.
Exactly.
And that entity is the spirit side, which is an energy, and energy cannot die.
Man,
that's the side of us that identify and connect back to God.
And that's why the immortal thing, as you say, everything have a beginning and an end. That's just the close, that's the flesh. But anyway, let me bring in the dreadnought, because we'll soon have to take an intermission and come
perfectly,
again. Yes, my
perfectly.
Lord.
Perfectly.
Take up wherever you want to take it up.
Bless. We're going on. Give thanks and praise.
Yes, I.
Celebration of, is 129. Majesty, do it strong. Give thanks. But I just listening the reasoning, I like in where the king man Rastafari reasoning, he points on whatnot. In terms of God, I would say that all of us in the West here end up with a certain concept of God, and it really ain't a kind of figure of a kind of masculine person up in the cloud and
right,
that kind of concept now. But within even the African version of the creator, then there's even say, well, the creator create the earth and everything, and then step back and let things go how it have to go. You know what I mean? So yeah, just that Haile Selassie now, he have the titles and the fullness of the biblical tradition and revelation, At the same time, we can see him in the mold of the ancient Kemetic divine king man, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's like it don't really have like a different, like a quarrel with it. It's like if that's your perception of it, then stick inside your perception, right, and go along, Give thanks.
They mean depending like however you look at him as being the divine.
Yes.
Right. So you don't find that it could become toxic. I come to realize, yes, okay. This might sound slightly off the exact topic, but just to give an example, and I'm knocking no one religious outlook. But I always say, right, I try not to interrupt with a person's belief or how they think and so on, especially when it comes to doing works. But I notice now that amongst a specific group of people, everybody know who, but just not to be contentious, and I'm not going to even call the name, but they're Black people that consider that they're not Africans then. Okay. To me, that's a kind of way off. Really, not the name African or like African, you know what I mean? They're not Africans, okay. They're Israelites, straight up. Okay, fair enough. And then I might think I'm an Israelite and an African, but all of that is everybody's perception. But then now, if we say, okay, we put that aside, we need to do certain works. That's still with them, eh? Because they're going to say, well, no, we can't work with them people over there. Why? Because them is African. No, we put away the religion. No, this is not religion, this is the truth. If you go in the Bible, you see, no, hold on. No, we different. We're the children of Israel. Them people over there in Ghana, them is Africans. Them is the one that sell us out. So we not gonna raise no fund for feed nobody in Ghana, so we can't do no works now. Now, we trying to step out of the religion, but that's still following out. And the reason why I say that, my Lord, Brother Ankoma, this is what I'm saying now. Although it's nice to say, yeah, man, everybody free to think, but you don't think that the wrong outlook, even on divine things, can be toxic, even to us moving forward. Because I see many places where Rastafari can tell you, where the whole thing come to breaks because man say, no, man, no woman can go and do that. And, all kind of little things. What do you say to that?
Yes, sir. Of course, you go have, because like when you have a paradigm and you're operating inside of that, then the values and the principles of that is what going on, govern your actions and your whole outlook, So sometimes it come like some people might even understand that the things what they hold there to how it really hindering their own progress and certain things like that, you know what I mean? But I think in like it just information, consciousness, you have to just spread it, and so I want to go orient to what they have to. Nobody no, but all of we can have the same mind, you know what I mean?
Fair enough, I agree.
Yeah, it's a kind of way, because like even I would tell you something, like when in the earlys, back in about 2007, Von Benjamin come down to Trinidad, and I come out, and they say they have like a meet and greet and thing. So I come to the thing and I come and ask him, I say, Von Benjamin, what you think about the Bobo Shanti and Prince Emmanuel and this and that? And he just tell me, if I saw the man them see if he praise God, then I saw or something. You understand? That's what he had. No, I find like I ain't really understand the answer too much now, but within time I just come to say, well, everybody had their own lane to tread in, you know what I mean?
That's all like something you would have said, really. Yes, go to King.
Okay, yeah, what I would say to that, right? I don't think it is it's not something that we can enforce.
Definitely not.
Or necessarily even stress over who aligns with what. I can tell you just by my own experience that you come to this position based on growth. It is not based on somebody else persuading you. Because I did not always see it the way I am reasoning it now.
I know, for sure.
You understand? And if somebody had came to me and reasoned the way I am reasoning now, at that time, me the bonfire penny. Because I just was not at the level that I would have seen that I would overstand that. You see it? So we really need not really, and I can really square with the answer that Vaughn gave the brethren there, as he said, because I'm certain that is this understanding that I'm speaking to, why Vaughn would make a statement like that. And I can also compare that same statement that Vaughn made with a statement that His Majesty made down in Jamaica when they said to him that these Rastafarians see him as God. And his response, according to Martin Oplano, was, who am I to question their faith? And I'm certain, again, just by the experience that I go through in growth, that this is exactly the thinking. This is not the kind of thing that you persuade a person with. You persuade a person with words into. It is something that you have to grow into that realization and see this thing in the way that I am reasoning it. Because again, I did not always see it this way.
Yes,
so when we run into certain people that will still want to literally enforce this, it is not a point, you know, and even for even criticize and don't house them.
Pragmatic. But my brother, we have to take a quick intermission. And when we come forward in the second part, we will continue on that later.
Okay, Selassie.